Hey everybody, Todd Patrick here with KBBT. Tonight we are interviewing another Elite 8 angler in the KBBT May bracket, Mr. Silas Garrett. Welcome, Silas.
What's up, man?
How you doing, man? I'm gonna
Doing
go
good.
over a little bit on some of your stats here. Um, Now, Silas has actually gone through some really good anglers in Texas and Louisiana and Mississippi. He first went against Dave Newman week one, was able to, at the time, it was a KBBT record. He put up 106 inches. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but that is an absolute amazing bag. He did that in one day and was able to take Dave Newman out pretty easily with a 106-inch bag. He has actually tied that same day by Sherman Bishop with 106 inches out of Florida. So that was an amazing day for fishing for KBBT and especially for Silas. That was an amazing day. He went up against Eric Morris in round two, put up 93 inches. He had Jamie Broad, another hammer out of Louisiana, with 87 and a quarter, was able to survive that. And, you know, if you see the trend here with the interviews that we've already had and the interviews coming, you know, so all of these anglers have, you know, they've had like an off week to where they weren't up to par with where they had been. And at 87 and a quarter inch week was his opportunity to get knocked out, but he stayed in, and he's got to be one of the favorites to win this whole thing. So he had the 87 and a quarter inch bag, and then Brad Case last week with 92 and a half. Actually, that was on Sunday. He had the 92 and a half versus Brad Case, and then he's going against the defending champion this weekend on Saturday in the round of 8 to go to the Final Four. He's facing Conrad Benetti out of Stuart, Florida, and him and Conrad's stats are very similar. If they were to face head-to-head so far, Silas would have won week one and the fourth round, and Conrad would have won the second and the third round. So they both would be 2-2. So we'll call this one basically the tiebreaker because they're going head-to-head this week. And Silas has an average of 94.69 inches, which is the second highest average with the remaining 8 anglers here. And he's going against Conrad, who has a 96.69 and has the highest. So this is going to be a good one, Silas. How do you feel about your upcoming matchup versus Conrad?
Yeah, man. I'm just super excited to get out there on the water. You know, I think it's the beginning of the week, and I already can't sleep at night just because I'm too excited. I'm already ready to get fishing. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a treat, man. It's been a treat to have you so far. First of all, from all of us here at KBBT, we want to thank you for fishing with us, for giving us an opportunity to test out this platform. It's a little something new. It's a little something different, and you know, a lot of people seem to like it. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But first of all, man, let's get into just get to know you a little bit more, maybe outside of fishing. So you want to tell us a little bit about maybe what you do, where you're from, if you got wife, kids, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm from Bryan College Station. A lot of people know where College Station is because of the Texas A&M University. I'm from the smaller town, just literally right next door, called Bryan. Uh, I'm married with 2 kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. Actually, I'm sorry, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. But yeah, self-employed. You know, basically do whatever I can to make sure that, you know, bills are paid every month, but
Right.
still be able to go fishing. Definitely worked a long career in the paint and body business. I was able to use that skill to kind of go my own way and open my own shop.
Yeah, you know, you make your own way in life, and that's the, you know, kind of the American dream where you can kind of put your skill sets together and kind of go out and do your own thing and chase your own dreams. And as long as you can feed the family and pay the bills, man, and your wife's cool with it, I think that's a good combination.
Yeah, yeah, she definitely puts up with a lot. But you know, we're making it work. So and she supports me, so that's all that matters. You know.
And you can have a really good support system, like I've said time and time again. It makes it easier on you, and it makes you a better person, and it probably makes you a better angler when you have someone at home that's constantly supporting you and pushing you and driving you to be the best that you can be, and being there for you to, pick up the slack at home while you're out on the water. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely the type that, yeah, if you encourage me, I mean, that goes such a long way. I mean, and to be able to have my wife at the house doing that for me, I mean, my goodness, I couldn't even imagine any other way.
Yeah. So let's get into let's get to know you a little bit deeper here. So do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy? Is there anything other than fishing that you like to do? Anything you're known for? Anything you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess some of the people know me now as pretty much an entrepreneur and somebody that's gonna, you know, I like to teach myself a whole bunch of different skill sets. Um, if you ask me what businesses I have, I would probably list off a list of a dozen of them.
Oh
Not that
wow.
they all make money or anything like that, but
Right.
it's just skills that I've learned over the years. One, for example, is I have a small battery company called Volta Lithium. We take recycled batteries, you know, uh, re process them to make sure that each cell is up to par, and then we'll put them in a power pack, for your fish finder or LED lights or anything of that nature. It's something that's not quite off the ground, but we do sell packs from time to time, but there's like no official website or anything of that nature. So
So,
it's just stuff like that I like to do. Just
so if
building.
you're doing batteries, are you running one of your own batteries for your fish finder?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
a homemade. You can consider it a homemade pack. Um, I could probably post some pictures to show everybody about it, but it's a 20 amp hour pack. My packs are actually 16.8 volts, but if you get with any of the fish finder manufacturers or even PowerPole, they all accept up to like 18 volts. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so 16.8 is just right there in the sweet spot. Um, 20 amp hours, so my fish finder might last for, I don't know, 4 or 5 fishing trips.
Well, you can't beat that. That's awesome. What kind of fish finder are you running right now?
I'm running a Garmin 74 SV.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, just a standard Garmin unit with Sidescan. I mean, we all know the power of Sidescan at this point to be able to
Hmm.
fish offshore structure. You almost have to have it.
It's key, and it's been an advantage, and it's been it's been something that's been awesome in the fishing community to be able to have that side scan. And ever since that's came out, that's been like revolutionary in the market.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would attribute at least 40% of my catches to my fish finder and just being able to find, a brush pile that maybe nobody knows about or a random stump on a point, that type of thing.
Yeah, anything that might be holding them bass. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So we've got to know a little bit about what you do for a living. Got to know maybe some of your hobbies. Do you have any other hobbies like to hunt or anything like that out there, or ride bikes, race, four
Yeah,
wheelers, anything like that?
I guess the childhood sport was, I played baseball my whole life. Actually, won 2 state championships in high school, my
Nice.
sophomore and junior year. Ran track, that sort of thing. Of just, uh, it's kind of funny because I was all into baseball, and that dream kind of ended up dying my senior year. Tore my rotator cuff or injured my shoulder bad, I guess is the best way to put it.
Hmm.
But so wasn't able to go on to play college ball. So I had all these ambitions to do that. Well, that was taken from me. So now I have fishing, and I'm able to kind of put my whole heart into it. Learn my lessons from baseball to bring it over here to fishing, and just trying to be one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that drive and that ambition and the goal to become the best that you can be, and then to be recognized as one of the better anglers in the state of Texas, that's got to mean something. When you hear people, come out and continuously say, "Watch out for Silas Garrett. Watch out for Silas Garrett." I mean, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look back at my tournament history, it's not like I win every tournament that I'm in or anything of that nature, but I would consider myself one of the better guys, just because I get out there and you know, I'm a student of the sport too.
Hmm.
I'm constantly reading. I mean, listening to YouTube videos. I mean, kind of the whole 9 yards, as far as just gaining knowledge to put into my fishing career.
So we're getting into the fishing aspect here a little bit more. Um, would like to ask you, how long have you been fishing? What started your drive for fishing? Was it dad, grandpa, mom? Was it that young, or did it come at a later age for you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of split between. I was a diehard saltwater fisherman whenever I was younger. Me and my dad used to go out to Galveston or San Luis Pass here in Texas, and I just remember, we get to the campsite. It's 10, 11 o'clock. Everybody goes inside. Well, that's whenever I like came alive. Like I was ready to go fishing at like 11 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
Can remember watching countless sunrises in Galveston just from fishing all night. So that was a prominent part of my childhood. Well, by the time I made 18, 19, all right, well, now we got to, make some money. So kind of fishing stopped for me for about 8 years.
Oh,
Um, I almost went cold turkey. I'd pond hop here and there, but I got in heavily about 2 years ago. Bought me a little bass boat for like $600. Fixed it up, was able to actually get it running that day. Uh, Started taking it out, and actually I skunked the first 8 times I took that boat out.
oh gosh.
I think that's probably why I'm so determined at this point, because you know, I don't like to lose. So losing
Yeah.
8 times in a row just made me just want it that much more. And shortly after that, got a kayak. Uh, I think the very first tournament I went to, I drove 3 hours to Lake Weatherford. Very first tournament, I borrowed my dad's kayak. It rained on us the whole day.
Oh gosh.
I think I might have caught 2 fish that tournament too, but then I had to drive home 3 hours. So it was definitely a good push into the sport. And, I saw right off the bat the kind of camaraderie that everybody
Oh
had in
yeah.
the community. Yeah. So yeah, I fell in love instantly. And probably about 6 months later, I had a Hobie, fishing, 3, 4 days a week sometimes, but
Yeah. That
probably a little bit too much.
that's really cool. How you had that passion and drive early on with saltwater, and then you kind of grew up a little bit, needed to go out and make some money, and were able to get back into the sport and find that passion and that fire again to get out and fish, and then it led into kayak fishing. And kayak fishing as a whole, I've watched it since about 2017, and it seems to steadily just keep growing, and it's blown up to where BASS is now in, and Hobie now has their series, and KBF's out there still doing their thing, and now KBBT's here. So it's going to be really cool to see this sport keep evolving, um, and it's really cool, story that you got there about how you got into fishing. But
Yeah.
let's talk. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say about just the sport evolving, kind of over
Oh yeah.
time. I got in about, I guess it was 2018, but yeah, I mean, the sport has multiplied tremendously. I mean, you see 100 more kayaks just out driving to a lake now.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Lakes that you thought were private that nobody knew about. There's kayakers coming up now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I drive all over the country, and I see so many kayaks on the roof. And whenever I do, I always look over to see if maybe I'd seen that person before or whatever. But it's really cool to see the sport grow, and I'm glad to be a part of that. But so what local club do you fish with? How have you done in local club tournaments, things like that? Because we know you do fish live events.
Yeah, my local club is the Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League.
Okay.
Uh, I think last year I might have been like top 10, top 15. Had a couple bad tournaments, but had some really good ones placed in the money. I've won a couple charity events. a couple cash day events, that sort of thing. I also like to fish the East Texas events.
Okay.
Yep. All those East Texas lakes, I mean, you have to go out there. I mean, it's something that you can't always describe. I mean, every lake's just a little bit different, but just being in East Texas, you know you're going to catch a giant.
Yeah, in East Texas, that's what is Dave Newman do that one?
Mm-hmm.
So Dave and Brittany, and then is Matt Scotch and Guillermo fishing that one as well?
That's Matt Scotch and Guillermo are like North Texas, and
North
also
Texas.
the Kayak Anglers of Fort Worth.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, because there's so many guys when I think of the state of Texas that, I think about, and Guillermo and Matt Scotch have always been the standard, the first thing that's ever came to mind
Mm-hmm.
for myself. But, getting into this KBBT and learning Texas a little bit more because it's kind of exploded down there. KBBT has with the way that Chris Delgado has taken over that region and kind of helped build that up. You guys are we're starting to find out that there's hammers all over the place in Texas,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's really cool to see.
yeah. I can name at least 24 guys that I consider, maybe on par with, or maybe they're slightly better. Time will only tell. But yeah, they haven't even signed up for a KBBT event yet. So once these guys get involved, I mean, you're just going to keep on seeing more and more from Texas.
Yeah, I really like to see how Texas fares with their bracket to qualify for the national championship next year. I think that is going to be really cool, and I expect to see some. I expect to see a really strong field come out of Texas region for that. So you're going to be. Do you plan on fishing that regional to try to qualify?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign up to every KBBT that I can for sure.
Yeah.
Anytime I can get out and tournament fish, I mean, there's just something about it. The way it makes you feel in the morning whenever you wake up, kind of the adrenaline rush as you catch big fish. I mean, it's all kind of a, pleasure.
So and when we're talking, you got something going on?
No.
I was gonna say, so we actually we were talking about your live events. We're talking about some the KBBT event. What would you say is the most intriguing thing about KBBT versus a live event? What are some pros and maybe some cons that you have for about KBBT?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely the pros are, you're taking guys like myself who may not be known on a national level. I would like to think that whenever I go to a trail event, maybe some guys are like, oh, that guy might take it, but with KBBT, you're given that kind of national platform. So
we're talking about how you fish live events, and then you also fish with us in KBBT. And this is your first time with us in KBBT, if I'm not mistaken. How would you compare the two? And what are some things that you like about KBBT, and maybe some critiques that you have towards it? Like, how do you feel about that?
yeah, so we'll start with the pros first. So, you know, the biggest thing, it gives an angler like me who may not be known on a national platform a chance to, get out there and compete with some of the better guys in the country, make it this far, and then somehow, people actually know who you are as far as the kayak world goes. Um, the other part of that, as far as the pros, here's the thing. I think a lot of guys like fishing their favorite lakes, or, you know, I have maybe 5 lakes that I could choose from that I could go out and catch a, 90 to 100-inch bag just about any day that you go out there. So, and that all fits into my fishing. Like, I like fishing grass lakes. Anytime I can fish a grass lake, I feel super confident. So KBBT plays into like an angler's confidence. I know there's other guys that like to fish, rocky lakes or clear lakes
Hmm.
to catch big fish. They can go do that. I'm going to go fish a grass lake, and then we can see who did better. So that's definitely a big pro for me. Maybe a con. I kind of am a little off about, whenever this started up, there was a lot of there was no tournaments going on whatsoever. So you didn't
Right.
necessarily ever have to make a choice between a trail event or KBBT.
Right.
And then if you make it, kind of this far in the bracket, then, obviously, we're going to lean towards fishing our, a lake that we can go get a bigger bag on versus one
Right.
that even if we have a great day out there, we might be in the high 80s.
So maybe the length of the tournament is something that might be a con in a certain type of way.
Yeah, it doesn't kill it at all, for sure. Maybe day of the week, on, how we orchestrated. The other thing might be, something like this where it goes on for 7 weeks. A really big payout is fun to see at the end of it. But obviously y'all got to build, so
Right.
it's smart to keep the entry fees low.
Right.
But I think as time progresses, I think y'all might evolve into being the pro platform. It's kind of what I personally see. So, maybe not talking too crazy, but $200 entry fees. At the end of the thing, you're going up against 128 anglers, and at the end of it, you might get a check for $3,000, $5,000, or however it works out.
It'd be 10 plus. It'd be 10
yeah.
plus.
Oh yeah, 10 plus.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Yeah. But and that's what we did, Silas, to let you know. The first event was like it was Greg's idea, and Greg threw it out there, and it caught on fire.
Yeah.
And then I called Greg, and I'm like, hey man, what you got going on is great. I'd like to be part of it if you have room. He's like, come on board, let's do this thing. So it's kind of like the little story behind the very beginning there. Is all Greg at the beginning. It's his idea, and he went out and did all this, and he's the show. But this is all what this bracket in April and the bracket that we're in May. There were feelers to work out the kinks, to try to make things better. And then what you're going to see is with these regional tournaments coming up, you're going to probably have 2 regional tournaments. The top final 4 from each of those brackets are going to qualify for the national championship. Next year's national championship is going to be a high entry fee, and it's going to be a huge payout.
Oh, heck
so yeah, I mean,
yeah.
well, hey man, that's we're here for you guys, and if it wasn't for you anglers out there that were fishing with us, we wouldn't have this opportunity. So we owe it to you guys to give you the best product that we can, and that's what we're trying to do here. So, now, do you prefer a live event? I mean, the live event is more your forte, or do you kind of like this KBBT kind of in the middle, like where you can, do what you like to do, but you're still going head to head, and it still has that live feel?
Yeah. I'm kind of torn. I mean, I love the KBBT event platform, just like I said, because you can fish, some of your favorite lakes. Then
Right.
again, I also like to be challenged on a lake that I'm maybe not so familiar with, and go out there and try to put up as many inches as I can. Yeah, like I said, the only downside to that is, the live event might be on a lake that your biggest bag might be high 80s whenever.
But everybody's on the same lake.
Exactly. So your chances of you can win with a kind of a low bag, I guess, for the live event, versus if you were to fish there while competing in the KBBT, you might not.
Right. So just to fill you in a little bit, and to let the people that are watching this interview hear, your regional event is broken down into states and or a state. So when you fish the Texas regional, every public water in Texas is accessible for anybody to fish in that regional tournament. You can't go outside of Texas, so it's all confined to Texas when you're in the Texas region. And then when you qualify for the national championship, you can fish in the region where you qualified, right? And then that'll open up to where when you get to the Elite Eight, everybody's traveling to the same body of water and it's going to be your Elite Eight will fish on the same body of water, same hours, same day, and then the Final Four, and then the championship will all go over the course of a 3-day weekend. So that's how that's going to work next year, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It kind of it almost kind of reminds me of like the MLF type thing, just towards the end where they take the best anglers at the very end and take them to a lake that they may not even know, and have to go fish head to head.
That's what we're going to be doing for you guys. So, just look forward to that. But let's get into your matchup versus Conrad. And maybe if you wanted to go back even before that and let's talk about your 106-inch day. How about that? That's got to be a memory that's fresh and it's going to stay in your head for a while. How did that day work out for you? How did it start? And then just how did it feel come out with a 106-inch day?
Yeah, so I actually started out kind of on a rough leg. I prepared as much as I could the nights before, had everything ready to go. Woke up at like 3:30 in the morning to get to the lake, before 6, so I could launch. Well, whenever I pulled up to the gate, I had forgot that they didn't open up the gate until 8 o'clock.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I basically had to hang out in the truck, and of course Craig Knight and a couple other guys showed up, so I was able to talk to them for a little bit. But I was kind of already like over anxious at that point to even just get on the water, so I'm kind of like fumbling around getting my stuff in the water, just kind of rushing. I like coming from a place of maybe being the underdog. Nobody necessarily picked me the night before except Slim.
Yeah.
So, for some people that might be a negative thing. For me, that was like the competitiveness in me came out like, all right, this is a challenge.
It was a driving factor for you.
Absolutely. And then, Newman's, no slouch whenever it comes to fishing. I think he was on a roll like 3 tournaments in a row that he was at least top 5. He was on a real good roll. So I knew I had my work cut out for me. But I was on my favorite lake, getting to do what I love to do. So just went with a top water that morning and fishing a buzz bait. Man, they just started blowing up on it. So, I think I got on the water by 8. I think by like 9:30, I'd actually caught close to 100 inches. I was like 96, I think. So I just knew that my day was going to be a good one, and just continued to try and expand on the pattern that I was on. The buzzbait bite stopped, but I was fishing around shallow vegetation as far as lily pads and grass. Ended up breaking out a drop shot to finish out the day, and they just chewed that thing up. Caught some key 21s there at the end of the day on the drop shot that, just really made that day count.
Yeah.
The funny part is, I kind of hate the whole fisherman story, but it happens to all of us. It's wild. But that particular day, I told myself I probably would have went like 110 inches if I'd have just caught the 2 other 20s that bit. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm pretty sure both of them were in the 22, 23 range.
They break you off or just throw the hook at the end, or?
Yeah, threw the hook. I had one bite on a buzzbait, like not even 5 foot from my kayak. So it dove down, and then whenever it came back out of the water, I don't know. She just came straight up and then went straight back down, and the hook was out of her mouth. I don't know. Yeah, just one of them things.
So the opportunity for 110 was there, but you came out with 106.
Yeah.
At the time, it was a KBBT record until I think it was the next week. Bobby Morin put up 110 out of Florida on Cannonsville. And what lake did you want to say? What lake you were on when you put up your 106? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think everybody knows, but it's Lake Fairfield.
Okay, Lake Fairfield in Texas. So everybody, you put up a great bag there. So then you came back and you put up 93. Then you're 87 in a 1/4 inch day. Do you remember that day versus Jamie?
Yeah. So
what happened?
Yeah, so me and Jamie decided that we were going to fish on the same waters, kind of give it that live event feel. We chose to fish a lake called Lake Nakanish. I
Okay.
think y'all saw in the video, this is it's all flooded timber. I mean, you know, thousands and thousands of pieces of timber sticking out of the ground, which can be, pretty overwhelming. You want to, kind of coming from the shallow fishing world, you want to pitch at every single little piece of structure. Well, whenever there's 1,000 trees in front of you, not likely that you're going to do that. But
Right.
yeah, just went to work with a crankbait. I missed out on a couple fish. I think if I'd have landed them, still would have been in the low 90s. Um, yeah, just had a fun day, just throwing a crankbait. It was a change of pace. Um it's always great to explore new waters. Actually, after that event, throwing that crankbait the very next day on Fairfield, I was throwing a crankbait and sure enough, catching decent fish. So,
Nice.
it was a good opportunity to take some information from one lake and then transfer it to another.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like you said, we just ended you up with 92.5 to take out Brad Case, who had been kind of on fire coming into that event. And, you've got Dave Newman, Jamie Broad, Eric Morris, Brad Case under your belt. Quite possibly the roughest road so far, and for namesake. And then if you can get Conrad under your belt, man, what would that mean for you to beat Conrad this weekend and make it on Saturday and make it to the Final Four for Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a determined individual. So anytime I set my mind to something, I'm going to do everything in my power. Like, yeah, I've been preparing for Conrad since Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Even before I beat uh, Jamie
Brad.
Broad or Brad
Oh,
Case.
Jamie and Brad. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, not that Jamie Broad or Brad Case were any slouches. I just had my eyes set on a certain goal, and it just so happened to be Conrad just straight from the very beginning. Especially being that he beat out Matt Fuentes
Yeah.
last tournament. I got to bring it back to Texas for sure.
Well, and you got a lot of Texas rooting for you. You got a lot of the country rooting for you, just like Matt did in the championship from the April bracket. And we're going to see if Texas can finally knock Florida off the podium and be the first person to beat Conrad since this thing's all started, because he's going for back to back. And he talked to us in his interview yesterday about what it would mean for him to go back to back. And he is a very, very confident angler. He's confident in what he's doing. He actually asked his lieutenant or officer for the whole weekend off. He's not even working, so he's bound and determined to give it his all, and I'm sure you are too. So, what's your strategy? What's your weather looking like for Saturday? And are you feel pretty confident with what you got in front of you to maybe be able to put up in the mid to upper 90s to be able to take Conrad out?
Yeah. I was kind of telling Brad Case last Sunday after our tournament that, um, you know, the whole time Sunday, I caught a couple fish up shallow, but I've kind of been waiting for these fish to move off just a little bit deeper, kind of set up on the points and stuff like that. Well, it's working out to where I think that they're going to be there. If it plays out, I mean, I might have another, I would say 105-inch day. I mean,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's something that I'm definitely going to take my time. Friday, I'm going to get out on the lake, go ahead and do some scanning. I probably won't fish too much, but, if I find them out there, it's going to be game on.
What kind of weather are you looking at? Have you looked forward to the weather? Is it going to be pretty favorable for you, or is it going to be a little rough?
It's not going to be rough in regards of like high winds or anything of that nature, but it's going to be 94 degrees with like not even 2 miles an hour of wind.
Got to get that wind up.
Everybody knows you got to have a little bit of wind to really stir them up. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think there's that tropical storm kind of heading our direction, so it could make the fish bite or it could turn them off.
Yeah, well, like I said, you got a big fan base that everybody's going to be rooting for you to take out Conrad. Now, I've asked this to every interviewee so far. What would it mean for you, Silas Garrett from Bryan, Texas, to win this championship?
Yeah, once again, being very determined and, uh, I put my all into this. I'm not telling anybody I'm getting out there on the water just lackadaisically, you know, catching these fish. I'm working really hard to do this. So to be able to see that hard work pay off and kind of the time that I've had in the sport and everything else just all come together for this kind of moment. I mean, it's something that, I'm almost even getting choked up just even talking about it. So it's something heavy on my heart that I'm going to make happen.
Awesome. Well, so far you've beat out 100 and what would it be? 120 other anglers. You're one of the remaining 8 out of the biggest bracket that we've ever held. The pot is nice sized. I don't know if he showed you the payouts. I think he got you guys in group pay and showed you guys the payouts. You're already going home with a trophy. The worst the worst number that your trophy can say is 8 on it, and you're going home with a check. So your accomplishments, you already accomplished something good. But what you can do now is get a little bit lower number next to your name on your next to your trophy, and a higher paycheck. So it's going to be cool to see how that all works out. We'll see you on Saturday versus Conrad. It's going to be really cool. So this has been this is your show, brother. So I'm going to ask you if you got any last words that you like to say, anything you want to say to Conrad, and then after that we'll go over any thanks, shout outs, or sponsors or anything like that.
Okay, cool. I guess this is kind of a shout out, but I just wanted to say thank you to all the Texas anglers that have reached out and given me some great words of encouragement. It seems like, at least 5 or 6 people every day are reaching out, giving me that encouragement. And trust me whenever I say that empowers somebody like me so much that, always putting my heart on the line. It means a lot, and I'm going to fish my heart out just for that.
That's awesome. Did you have anything that you wanted to say to Conrad? I know there's been a little bit of smack talking going on a little bit between you guys in the group chat. You guys are it's all in fun. You guys are both really high level competitors. You got anything that you want to say to Conrad before you go out and try to whoop his butt on Saturday?
Yeah, Conrad, good luck, brother. Let's give these guys a show. Bring your best. I mean, it's going to take way over 95 inches to beat me on Saturday.
I like it. And then lastly, did you have any other shout outs or anything that you want to say to family members and then sponsors potentially?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to my obviously my wife and my kids for showing me support constantly. I got my mom and dad who have had my back. I think every parent or whatever that sees somebody fishing all the time, they think, oh, look, they're just wasting their life away fishing. But now they can see that, this is something I'm passionate about that's going to stick around for a while. I don't really think that kayak tournaments are the end of my fishing career either. I hope to make it in the big leagues and turn this into something that's a lasting career.
Awesome.
Definitely thank you to my parents for empowering me so much to, follow my dreams.
Awesome. And did you have any sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. So want to say thank you to Breakline Fishing, I Surrender Eyewear, and absolutely Kistler Rods for giving me one of the best rods on the market.
Awesome. Well, Silas, it's been our privilege to have you on behalf of KBBT to make it to this Elite 8. We are excited to include you as one of the top 8 anglers to make it through this bracket full of hammers and to be one of the last 8 standing. That says something. So you've already accomplished something, but it sounds like you're bound and determined to not stop at 8. You want to be in the 4 and you want to be in the championship. So we'll look forward to seeing if you can do that. It's been a good interview. I appreciate it. We're going to get this up live soon. And thanks so much, man. It's It's been our treat.
No problem, brother.
All right.